1. Dancing alone hadn't been an issue for Dayna Wilson in recent years, and tonight was no exception. The habit marked her choice to live again, and on evenings like this, a sense of delicious freedom and rightness with the world returned. She two-stepped around her bedroom in her purple silk robe to the up-tempo melody pouring from her surround sound speakers, singing along to the chorus of a Tina Turner classic, What's Love Got to Do With It? Miss Tina's career had peaked well before Dayna's birth, but this song revived it during Dayna's early teen years, so she considered herself a big fan of the ageless rock star as her mother and grandmother had been. Dayna sashayed to her sitting area and sank into the caramel-colored leather love seat. She closed her eyes and mentally rehearsed her speech for tonight's benefit gala. Introducing Spencer wouldn't be a big deal. She could recite his credentials as easily as her own. Plus, this would be a friendly crowd. Most of the guests would write checks because he had personally invited them. Few business leaders and socialites in this community would snub the CEO of Chesdin Medical Center. Not only was their attendance a networking and power play obligation, it was an informal insurance policy. Many of them surmised they'd eventually need the medical care Chesdin Medical provided, and when their turn came, they wanted to be treated like VIPs. Dayna visualized herself introducing her boss, then opened her eyes and stretched. Time to get up and get to work. That meant sliding into her Spanx without breaking a sweat and stepping into her dress before Warren arrived. He would be ready to go the minute he showed up, but she was certain he'd pause when he saw her in the apple-red, floor-length gown. Shoot. Looking at the formal and accepting that she, the always wear black, stay on the safe side executive, had ignored her comfort zone and bought the dress, made her pause. She had come a long way, thank God. Dayna chuckled. Between being more daring with her wardrobe and dating a man like Warren, she was on the verge of becoming unpredictable, and it was fun. What wouldn't be out of the norm were the questions she and Warren would receive from colleagues tonight about the status of their relationship. As usual, they would share very little in an effort to maintain the fine line between their professional and personal lives. But whenever they showed up as a pair for a work-related event or social gathering in the community, speculation over when they would tie the knot raced through the hospital with virus-like speed. So far, everyone had lost the bet. Dayna wondered when he'd ask her to, but she could be patient. With what he'd been through, Warren couldn't and shouldn't be rushed. He was wise to take his time, and so was she, for that matter. Half the battle of winning his heart and getting the ring would be making it obvious that choosing her was his decision, and his alone. The way he gazed at her when he thought she wasn't looking told her it wouldn't be much longer. The thought of walking down the aisle to become Mrs. Avery didn't fill her with the youthful excitement she'd exuded the first time she'd wed. She knew now how much work marriage was. But after all these years of being single, she craved the daily companionship that marriage offered, and Warren was someone she could see herself working with through the thick and thin times. Her desire to be a mother hadn't waned, but having a baby was no longer a must. She loved Warren's boys and would be happy helping raise them. Dayna's sound system looped to another CD. This time, the melodies of Ben Tankard filled the air, and she thought of Daddy, who was probably at home this evening, getting ready for tomorrow's worship service. His preacher rule called for low-key Saturday nights, spent at home with no TV or movies, so he'd be ready to deliver the word during 2 services on Sunday. One of his regular means of relaxation was gospel jazz, and Ben Tankard ranked among Daddy's favorite artists. Funny how she didn't feel connected to him or Mama in most other ways, but she shared their taste in music. The sweet, soothing sounds of the saxophone lulled Dayna into a relaxed state, and she reclined on the sofa again, telling herself it was just for a few minutes. They couldn't be late tonight. Spencer was counting on her and Warren to help greet guests. She lay there, though, through another full song. When the opening melody of a fourth instrumental tune began, she leapt up and trotted across the carpet to her walk-in closet. The red dress was waiting for her on an outside door hanger. After wrestling into the girdle that made her thighs thinner and her midsection pouch disappear, she tugged the gown free and stepped into it with the ease of a model. She straightened to her full height and felt the dress hug every curve. "Girl, you look good." Dayna struck several poses in front of the mirror above her dresser and marveled at how comfortable she felt in both the dress and in boasting about herself. Her girlfriends had assured her she would change in exciting ways when she turned 40. Still 2 years shy of that milestone birthday, she could already appreciate the new level of self-confidence they told her to anticipate. On a practical note, she had selected the red dress because February was Heart Disease Awareness Month, and the hospital's efforts to combat this serious health issue would be recognized tonight at the gala. Yet as she turned this way and that in the mirror, she decided she didn't need a reason to be daring. This was her color, and she would own it. Minutes later, her earrings, necklace, and diamond bracelet were in place. She slid into her silver heels and bathed in a spritz of the perfume Warren had given her for Christmas. A light dusting of loose powder removed the shine from her forehead and cheeks, and she looked picture perfect. The doorbell rang just as she applied her final stroke of lipstick, and she glanced at the grandfather clock in the corner. Was Warren really here at 5:45? He'd be bragging about this all night. She strode to the door as quickly as her flowing dress and stilettos allowed and swung it open, preparing to tease Warren before thanking him with a kiss for being on time. "Hey, babe." The bouquet of red roses that greeted her, and the man holding them, snatched away the rest of her words. He was much thinner than she remembered, but it had to be him. "Brent?"